in order to build that currency exchange rates integration with Sage X3, you'll obviously need Sage X3 to be ready to accept web service connections. So you'll need to have your web service pools set up and connected to your endpoint. You'll need to have published the AWS import web service, and also you'll need to have a currency exchange rate import template set up. So I have another video which explains how to do all those steps. So if you don't know how to do that, please go and watch that video. So if I go to my setup and go to my import export templates, then there is an export template which I've import export template which I've defined in here. It's based on the default and standard change template. I just added an X to the front of it and made the file to be in XML and changed the indicator from blank to C. All right, so this is all I did, and I made sure that the date format is actually YYYMMDD in there because that's the format I'm going to use when I'm doing my integration. So I have this import export template ready, and I've made sure that I've validated it. So my X3 is now ready to accept incoming connections. The other thing I need is the API, which gives me the exchange rates. So I can choose a variety of APIs to do that. I have chosen for this course the API layer.com's currency exchange rate template. This is a free API for currency exchange rates as long as you make less than 100 calls per month, which is more than enough if you're going to do daily exchange rate updates to Sage X3. So go in there. If you don't really have an API system that can give you exchange rates, you can use this one. So go to apilayer.com, create yourself a free account, and then under the bestsellers, there is an exchange rates data API. They have multiple exchange rates data APIs, but this is the one we're going to use for today. So click on this one, and if you're logged in, it will tell you your API key as well as your monthly usage against your quota. So go to live demo, and in there type in your base currency which you'd like to use as the base in your Sage X3 system. I'm going to type in AUD in there because I'm in Australia, and the currencies I would like to get the exchange rates for. So I'm going to go with British pounds, euros, USD, Singapore dollars, and Malaysian ringgits, right? So you can leave this blank and it will give you the list of more than 120 plus exchange rates every time. But you know, if my business or my customer's business deals with only a handful of currencies, then you just put them in here. So this will basically fill up this API call for you automatically, and you can just copy that and put that into your integration platform. Which takes us to the discussion of the third component that we need, which is the integration platform. So you can write your own integration system and host it yourself, or you can use an API running platform like an integration platform as a service like Boomi or Make.com or any other platform that you choose. So in this scenario, I'm going to choose Make. So this is my favorite low-cost integration platform service. They give you a free account, and you can make less than 1,000 operations per month free of charge, which is again more than adequate for running exchange rates on a daily basis. So far we haven't really made any investments or spending on creating this integration. So go to make.com and create an integration. I have included an affiliate link down in my description below. You can use that and get a 1,000 operations per month free of charge, right? So once you have created your make.com account as well, you can go to this left section called scenarios and then create a new scenario. So click this button there. Now give this scenario a name. Say for example, call it update Sage X3 currencies. Right, so give it a name, and in here click the plus button to start building the scenario. Right, so we are going to put our first component in there, which is calling the apilayer.com's HTTP endpoint to get the JSON which contains the codes. Right, so if I run the code here on my apilayer.com's platform, it will give you a sample response. So this is what the JSON sample response will look like. We'll be using make to translate this JSON to the XML format that we can import into X3. Okay, so go to make.com and create an HTTP. So type in HTTP in there and click HTTP and just say make a request. So in the URL, copy the URL from your apilayer.com portal. So copy that and paste that in the URL section. Just make sure everything is copied. So HTTPS, and at the end of it, base equals to AUD, right? So you can add more currencies here down the line. Method, as you can see here, is get. And you will also need another header called API key, and that's the value unique to your account. So this is your API key, so just put that in the header. So in the header section, say add header, and in here type API key, similar to what you see here, right? And also put the value as the value of your API key on your account. The body type is raw, and the content type is JSON. Okay, so in here, parse the response. So it will give you the JSON file. And if you run this, or just run this module, then it will quickly give you the JSON file. And you can see that there is a 1 unit output there. So click on that, and in the output, you go to the data section, and you will see that there is the exact thing that you see here is coming here, right? So now under the rates, which is a collection, a JSON collection, I have the rates which against the currency that I chose. Okay, so far so good. The next thing I need to do is I need to convert this collection to an array, right? So there is a tool here called array aggregator, or array iterator. So just drag that and drop it, and it will automatically connect your HTTP system. So in here, just because this thing works through an array, we need to iterate through this rates collection and get each rate and convert it to an XML and put it into that XML and push it into X3. So I need to first of all convert it to an array. So there is a function called toArray. Just open that, and it will turn into gray, and just drag and drop this rates collection under that. Okay, and close the brackets. So if you click OK now and run this again, you will see that this now goes into this, and this gives us an output which is now 5 bundles, right? So now we've got a bundle for British pounds, euros, USD, SGD, and we can now use these values to translate all of them to an XML, right? So one way of doing this is creating 5 XMLs and pushing them into X3. But if I have more than enough, number of currencies, it's going to be troublesome, right? So I better aggregate all of them into one XML and push them into my X3 system, right? So the best practice usually for building integrations is building them outside in, right? So I've built the left side of the integration, which is calling the API system, and the other end of it would be my X3 system, right? So I need to create another HTTP endpoint and click make a request in there. So it will connect automatically to my iterator. I'll have to disconnect that later, but let that be connected for now. So I'm going to put my URL in there. So this is my X3's endpoint URL. So I have to copy that from my X3's SOAP URL function, which ends with XMLCC. And then the method is post. And then I have to add the header in there called SOAP action, and the value is run. So I'm basically calling this method the run method in SOAP, and the body is raw, and the content type is XML. Right. So then I scroll further down, and I enable the advanced settings. So then in the username, I need to put my username. My username needs to have web services enabled for it. And then I'll put the password in there. Then I click OK there. So I have connected to my X3 system now, but the problem is I can't push these bundles into my X3, right? So I have to aggregate them into an XML and then build that. So for that, I'm going to need an XML tool that translates my JSON input into an XML. So just click on this plus button there and just search XML there. Okay, so click on XML, and in here choose create XML. All right, so bring that here in between them. It will connect them automatically together. Now in the create XML, click on that. You'll need to give it a structure. So you need to have a sample file extracted out of your Sage system. So you can give this, and then this will create a structure for you, right? So click on this add button and give it, say for example, my Sage X3 currency structure. Right, so give it a name like that. That makes sense. Now in the generate section, so click this generate button, and it will say give me a sample XML, and I will generate the structure for you automatically, which is really beautiful, right? So you'll need to extract something out of your X3 system. So go to your usage and export the Exchange template. Okay, so just export that. It will give you a file. So this file 291, I'm basically going to open it. So this is the file, and this, as you can see, these C tags are repeated for each currency that I'm importing into my Sage system, right? So I really want to make it lightweight for Make to do its job. It's just repetitive, all this, so I just can get rid of all of them, and I just keep the first one. But it's up to you to do that, right? So I just want to make things simple. So what I do is I copy this whole thing, sample data section under XML, and click the generate button. So Make will automatically generate the XML structure for me with all the fields and their data types and everything like that, which is really easy to use. So click save there and click OK. Okay, so another thing that we need to do, so let's run this now. Right, so it tries to connect to my Sage now and push stuff into my Sage, which is definitely gonna fail. So we'll need to do something in between, right? Because see, as you can see, it tried to push 5 rates into my X3 system, and I don't want that because I just want one XML to go in there, and that's why I need to aggregate this into an XML. So there is a tool here called Aggregator, right? So just click on that, and it will be placed between your iterator and your XML, right? So click on this auto align thing to align everything automatically. So the array aggregator, if you click on it, you choose the source module as iterator, and the target custom structure as your exchange rate, which comes from your Sage X3 system. If you don't get this option, run this scenario again and you'll get it, right? So this will show you all the fields that are in your XML structure. If you open that XML structure, you will see that these field names are very familiar, right? So TCH car, TCH car den, and all these fields are what actually comes out of your X3. Okay, so now you'll need to map what's in there to these fields, and then put the contents of this aggregator into your XML module, and then push it down to X3, right? So in the car, I'll just click on the map field, and now I can just drag and drop fields in there. So in the TCH car, I just drag and drop my base currency. So as you can see, there's some sample data in there as well. So the AUD is in base field. In the destination, I need to get it out of my iterator. It doesn't show me like that. If I just click on it, I can't see the sample file. So in here, I just need to open 2 curly brackets and say the number of the iterator, the number that you see here. So I can see here that the iterator's number is number 2. So I just click on and just type in 2 dot and say key, right? Because if I go here, you will see that actually the key has the name of the currency in it. I see the value, I can drag and drop the value, but the key, I need to type that in manually, because that's how this API works, right? Your API may be different, but this API just works like that. I don't see the key here to drag and drop it there. So I just need to type that in manually. So to open curly brackets, then number of the iterator, and then dot key, and then close the curly brackets, and it turns green, right? So this is done. Then the date. For the date part, I'll need to format the date, right? So because the date that comes out of this API, if we look at it, it actually comes here, right? So let's go to the headers. Let's see where the date is, right? So if we go to the data, you see there's a timestamp there, which doesn't mean anything, and there's a date in there, right? So it's really good because my date format in X3 is the same format as well. So I can just drag and drop this date in there. So just go to rates. Oh, sorry, this date. So just drag and drop it there. Okay, so you can see the sample data in there. And the type, the exchange rate type. If I go back to my X3's XML, I can see that for the type, I'm using the daily rate there. So I'm just going to copy that whole thing and paste it in there. And for the rate itself, if I click on the map, I can just drag and drop the value in there, right? So just drop the value in there and click OK, right? So do that. And then in the XML, if you go there, now we need to map the output of this aggregator into my XML, right? So just click on this map there and just click on this field and just drag and drop this array thing, which is the aggregator's array, and paste it in there, right? So just drag it and drop it in there, and that's it, right? So now let me just momentarily just disconnect my Sage, so it won't push anything to my Sage. But if I run this scenario now and run anyway, right, it quickly generates the XML for me. So let's look at that XML. And as you can see, now it looks very familiar, right? So the C component is repeated 5 times, and I can see the base currency is AUD all the time, and then the destination currency is changing, and then the dates, and then the rates type, and then the rate itself, right? So I'm ready to push this XML inside my SOAP system. The issue is SOAP doesn't just take this XML. You need to replace some characters, right? So you need to replace this less than character with a placeholder. You need to put a / before all the code signs, and you need to remove all the new line entries with a special character which you've specified in your SOAP call, right? So we talked about that in the previous video. So what we need 3 text replacement modules. So I'll just move this thing across a little bit. All right, so before we push things into X3, we'll need to translate this to something simpler and a single line entry. So there is a module in Make called text parser. So I'm just going to click on add and just type in text parser. And if I click on that text parser, it will ask you what you want to do with text. You just choose this replace module. So because we want to replace some fields, some characters, so click on that. Drag it near the XML, it will connect to the XML. So tell it that you'd like to replace all the less than characters, right? So all these small less than characters with this character called ampersand LT for less than and a semicolon, and enable global search. So click, and then in the text, just drag your XML's output into that, right? So you're giving it this text, and it will replace everything which has that with this, right? So click OK there. We need another text parser, so just click on that again and replace again, and take it next to this one. And this time we're going to replace all the codes with a / code, right? So and then enable global search, and this time give it the output of this one, right? So you're going step by step. So go to text and drag and drop. As you can see that the number 7 now pulses. So to show you this is the output of that, so drag and drop that in there. And the next step would be another text parser. So click on that and choose replace. and take it next to this one, and the pattern will be basically we want to replace all the new lines, or /n, and replace that with the pipe character, and go global search equals to yes, and then give it the output of the other text parser, right, which is number 8. You can see the number next to it. If you don't see them pulsing, just use the number, right? So I'm basically giving the output of 5 to 7, and 7 to 8, and 8 to 9, and now I'm going to give the output of 9 to my SOAP call. So in the request content, I need to paste what the content needs to be. So you can get that from my video as well, in the description below. So I just put that in there, and in the iFile section, so make sure that the iMode IMP, which is the import template, is correct, and also go down there and make sure that you put your pool alias in them. All right, so I'm basically dropping the output of text parser number 9 and dropping that before the end pipe, right? So your R file should look like this. Okay, I think we are ready. So I'm just going to click on auto align, and I'm going to run this. And as you can see, X3 returned a status code 200, which is success. If I go to data, you see that X3 has outputted something, and now if you look closer, you will see that X3 has actually created the rates for me as of this date. So if I go inside my Sage X3 now and go to common data and go to currency rates and put in AUD in there, right, I can see that some dates have been updated here, and these are the rates, and this is everything is good, right? So if I go with MYR or euros, right, I can see that the euro against Australian dollar has been successfully converted as 1.65. Okay, so this is what it looks like, and the good thing about it is you can schedule this, so you can just turn on scheduling and make it run, for example, every day or every day of the week, and at a certain time. So just going to say every day, and then say you can use the time picker, say for example, or you can just type in at say 11 a.m. right, at 11 a.m. Sydney time. Just click OK in there, and just leave the rest with make. It will run this API every day and upload your currency rates with your favorite API. And this is it. So without writing any single line of code, without spending any money, we made our favorite exchange rates into our Sage X3 system. I hope this was fun and successful, and I'll see you in the next video.